Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this lovely lady is Kyra Sedgwick. She is an actor, a producer, and a director. You know her from her Emmy and Golden Globe winning role on The Closer from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is one of my personal favorites, Kyra, from movies like Born on the 4th of July, Singles, Edge of 17, which is another classic around the salon offices that we love. Now she is stepping behind the camera as a director of a new movie. It is unlike anything you've ever seen. It co-stars, among other people, a guy you may have heard of named Kevin Bacon. The movie is called Space Oddity. It is in theaters now and on demand as well. Hi, Kyra, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
This movie is, when I read descriptions of it, one of the reviews I read described it as a science fiction romantic comedy. It is a unique movie, and it begins with this central character who is planning a trip to Mars. Tell me a little bit about the film and tell me how you discovered it and why you wanted to get involved.
Um, the movie centers around this young 25-year-old who is in a lot of despair. But when we find him, he is joyfully preparing for a one-way trip to Mars. And there really are such places that you can give your money to. And they tell you that you are preparing for a journey to go in about 10 years. And understandably, his family is flipping out. And he falls in love with a young woman in the town. And that's where the romantic comedy comes in. To me, this script came to us in about 2017, I think it was, and I thought it was an incredibly entertaining, beautiful, funny, sad, but hopeful journey that it took you on. And it was a great container. Within it was a lot of issues that I are deeply important to me, like the depression of young people around climate change, and what happens to a family when they lose a loved one, and lose a member of that family, and how the whole family has to restructure itself, and it's jolting and quaking, and what happens, but all of these family members are sort of in their own corners, but desperately trying to come back together. And they're all checking out in one way or another. The dad's checking out with his obsession around the farm. The mom's checking out with her obsession around her son, her living son. And the sister's obsessing about her brother and work. She's a real workaholic. So to me, that's also something that I can really relate to. I think that, in the world that we're living in today, it's very easy to check out. Often we check out because things are hard, life is hard, but we check out easily with more distractions now. And ultimately, what the message of the movie was to me on the page even was like, we have to fight the good fight here. Like, we have to fight. There's no planet B. There isn't a family B. Even though people die, even though there's climate issues here, like, we have to fight the good fight here. And it's really worth it, and you see the family get to the other side of it. And that's really where they end up. And for me, that's just something that I have to think about every day. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's all very scary. The world is scary, but like, it's worth it.
When you talk about the climate change aspect of it, you have been at the forefront of that conversation. I want to say before a lot of other people got on board. You have been talking about this and really actively involved as an advocate and an activist for decades in that space of talking in a really concrete way about climate change. And then you do a movie like this, and I wonder if storytelling and fiction do you see that as a different way into that conversation and as a way of kind of bringing other people into these issues that maybe would never have otherwise thought about it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that, it's a little bit because the movie is so beautiful physically. I think it works on you in much the same way as when you go to a zoo and fall in love with the animals and then want to take care of the animals. The movie is such a love letter to the planet, visually. And to see these people actually working the soil. And also, I mean, look, flowers for me, I mean, that's like nature's like parade. Like, she's just dancing around showing us her most beautiful wares, So the fact that this movie took place on a flower farm, I mean, and we got to shoot it in July on this perfectly stunning piece of property. I think you can't help but fall in love with the planet. And when you fall in love with the planet, you want to protect her. We've been polluting her for so long, and hopefully on a visceral, cellular level, you will understand how connected we are to nature and how we must take care of her as well as taking care of each other. And then you see this family take care of each other and love each other and come together. And, hopefully what I loved about the movie was that it doesn't hit you over the head with this climate message, but simply by virtue of the fact that this kid wants to go to Mars. I mean, we're talking about a planet B. Actually, the world is actually discussing it as a possibility, colonizing this planet, which is so incredibly devastating on so many levels because it's uninhabitable, right? And we live in heaven on earth, so the fact that we've trashed this heaven on earth, and now we're going to go out to another planet and just trash that planet. Not an option, in my opinion. So yeah, all those things were definitely part of my evil plan with this movie.
Right. And sometimes telling the story with a beautiful story, telling it in a way that you identify with these characters, with their love for each other, is a different kind of experience than, you open up the paper and there's more statistics and it's overwhelming and really scary. And, speaking of scary things, you started directing in your 50s, Kyra. I love that. I love when people try something new at any point past 21. I think this is really important. But you said totally. It scared you. You said you were scared to do it before then. So what changed for you?
I think I was reaching critical mass with watching directors screw up my performances, to be perfectly frank with you. And also, I think I spent a lot of time dissecting, movies and TV shows. And my husband was like, you think so directorially. Why don't you direct? You should be directing. And it always scared me because I thought I won't be great at it, and which is already like sort of, there's such a lack of humility and like, if I'm not going to be great, I'm not going to do it. But I think you do get to a certain age where you're like, I do some things well, and I know I do them well. The world has told me I do them well. So I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I mean, I also started skiing when I was 40, and that was way out of my comfort zone. So I think that, but I think that what a great gift to at 50 go, you know what, I got to do this. And I had this script that it was called Story of a Girl. And I've been trying to make it for 10 years as a producer, because for some reason I had been producing since I'm 25. I don't know where I got the chutzpah to think that I could totally produce, but I did. And I had this piece of material and I tried to get it made for 10 years as a film. And finally, I actually went in and had a meeting with Lifetime as a producer to talk to them about passion projects. And they said, is there anything you want to do? And I said, yeah, I want to do Story of a Girl and I want to direct it. And I was like, wait, who just said that? I mean, literally, I was like, was that me? But as soon as I said it, I couldn't unsay it. You know what I mean? But I think that, I've been in this business professionally since I'm 16 years old. And I think that I didn't see a lot of female directors, so if you can't see it, you can't dream it. Someone brilliant said that. I don't know who it was. It definitely wasn't me. But when I finally, got enough courage to go, you know what, I'm going to do this thing, I was terrified all the way up until the absolutely first day of shooting. And I directed my first, I rehearsed my first scene even before we shot it. And the actors went off to get finished getting ready. And I looked at I thought I had a quiet moment with myself. And I was like, you totally have this. You know this, all that, it in your cells, it in your body. You know how to be a storyteller on this bigger level. You've always been a storyteller. This is just a bigger piece of that pie, it requires more of me. And that's awesome because I'm 50 and there's more of me to be had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that because there is more, but a lot of people get stuck in that space of being afraid and or feeling like it's over and I can't learn more because I'm going to fail. And the risk of failure and feeling like you're going to be made fun of or you're going to be criticized. I mean, it's real. And it's certainly also very real for women and women in Hollywood and women getting older, women being
Yes.
over 50 in general, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, have you found it challenging also to be moving into a different stage in your career as an actor now?
Always. But you know what? It's all been hard. I have to tell you. I mean, it's so funny because I had an agent who, when I was 21, was like, well, you're 21, you're getting older. Literally, is a man, of course. But I remember it was so incredible that he said that to me. And I was so deeply offended at the time. Maybe I was 25, but I kind of appreciate it because the truth is it was so laughable that I was getting old at 25. And it's like, I'm 57 and it'll be laughable at 70 when people tell me I was getting old at 57. You know what I mean? So, so all those stages of my career have been hard. I have been a working horse actor. I will be a working horse, director my whole life. Nothing gets handed to me. I have to work hard for everything for whatever reason. And that's great because then I know it's not supposed to come easy, And the truth is, I got one of the greatest opportunities when I was 40. I did The Closer when I was 40. I won awards when I was in my 40s. Like that didn't happen before, So I that doesn't scare me so much. Although there's no question that unless you're a very big movie star, you're not going to get offered great, great, great parts. And yet I still get offered really great parts. I've gotten some of the best parts of my career in the last couple of years, and now I can direct. And so I kind of feel like I'm not worried at all about it,
I love it. That's incredibly cool. And you also get the pleasure, or at least it looks like a pleasure, of working with your family, working with your husband on this film, working with your son on this film. You've worked with your daughter. I have to ask you how you do it because I have a family. I love my family. We can't even bake a bowl of cookies together. We can't even get to the mall together without having a fight. How do you do that? You just seem to gel so well as a team. And I have to tell you, Kevin Bacon's performance in this movie absolutely killed me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I feel really lucky that I get to give him a platform to do different kinds of work. And also that, I do know him so well and I know his instruments so well that I think it helps, having me giving him notes. And he's also more willing to try them because, he has to go home with me. I don't really know how we got lucky I'm able to work with my daughter. I don't think it was easy for her. And I know it wasn't easy for me because I'm pushing her, right? Because I'm always pushing my actors and everybody to be the best they can be. And I'm nice about it, but I'm also asking her to do it again, and I'm saying to Travis, I love this cue, but it's not going to work here. Let's find something else. So I think we tolerate each other really well. And I think that I think we can argue, but I usually think we get to the other side of it. And I think that what we all have in common as artists is that we want it to be the very best it can possibly be. And we all are really hard workers and aren't afraid of working hard. So I think that has a huge amount to do with it as well.
That's so great. And, I have to ask you something else. I know everybody always asks you about your long and happy marriage. Like you are the Joanne and Paul of our generation. I don't want to ask you about that part of it because I don't even want to know what the secret is. But do you ever feel like a certain pressure around that where it's
Oh
like,
my God, I totally feel pressure. I feel pressure, but I also feel pride, which is funny because I think that for so many years, I was quietly, proud of us, you know what I mean? Because I didn't think that I didn't want it felt again like there's this word again, but like a lack of humility, to be proud somehow. And now I'm like, you know what? Actually, there's humility in the pride, actually. because it's been a long time and it hasn't always been easy, like, of course. Um, and I just, but definitely pressure, no question. I mean, it's funny because it's been a lot of years, but one time we were like in our, I don't know, 10 or 20th year, and we had a fight at a restaurant, and it was like ended up in the paper. And it was just like, oh, can't even have like a little argument. It was like barely even an argument. We didn't fight, like it wasn't loud, but whatever, they saw it. And so yeah, I mean, and I think that, I feel like we have a lot of people counting on us to make it work.
Right? We're all rooting for you. Like, if these two don't make it,
Forget it. But the truth is like, what's the secret to a happy marriage is not getting a divorce. I just heard that, and now I'm going to steal it. Someone said it. I can't remember who, but again, I'm stealing from somebody else.
It's just that simple. I want to ask you one more thing. This movie came along in my life at a perfect time, because I was literally out walking with a friend of mine recently, and she said, I just got back from this town in Spain. This is the place we all have to move. We're all going to move to Spain. This is the new plan. And I think the message of this movie, that feeling of like, I just want to leave. I just want to get out of this place and go somewhere else, and then it'll be better and everything will change, is so resonant. We all feel it. What is your go-to, like, I want to leave the planet place? Do you have one?
I really like to just go into nature when I feel like that, when I feel really scared. I mean, I touch a tree, you know what I mean? If I'm in New York, I get to go to Central Park, or any green space, High Line, whatever. And if I'm in Connecticut, if I'm in the country, I get to go walk outside and just see nature taking care of itself in its most beautiful and kind way. And that supports not only the animals, but the planet. Like, they all take care of each other, and we need to learn a lesson from that.
Just step back. All right, one more question. You've got a whole bunch of stuff coming out. What else do you want to tell me you're working on right now?
I have a lot of, I mean, in the summer I Turned Pretty, which is coming out soon. I know people love that show. I just directed something for HBO Max that, will come out probably in the fall, called Girls on the Bus. I think that's it. I think that's all I can really talk about just now that I know is around.
That's plenty. You're keeping plenty busy. And for now, we can enjoy this beautiful movie, Space Oddity. Kyra Sedgwick, thank you so much for talking to us today, and congratulations on this wonderful movie.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.